Hi there booktube, it's Elena here and it's time for an Elena's Reading Rex. So today is a really difficult one for me. I'm going to read you out the email. It came from Tina and this is what she says. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to help because I'm quite fussy when it comes to what books I like to read. My favourite genre is psychological thrillers and here lies my problem. I tend not to stray from this genre very often. I'm also a really sensitive person and I can get upset very easily. I cannot read any books that go into any detail about abuse. I don't like to read about anybody suffering from an illness such as cancer. I don't mind if these things are in the background of a story just as long as there's not a great amount of detail. Genres I would not read are dystopian, sci-fi, historical and western, or anything with vampires and zombies. I've tried one or two fantasy but have not enjoyed them. Not they were bad stories, but more I couldn't get my head around them. I like ghost stories but I can't remember the last one that I actually enjoyed. I've read the odd horror but I don't like anything with a lot of blood and guts. My standout book this year has been In the Light of What We See by Sarah Painter. So I have taken that information and I have tried to come up with some recommendations. It was quite a difficult one for me, I have to say, but I'm hoping I've picked a few that I think you'll enjoy. So the first book I want to recommend to you is Before I Go to Sleep by S.J. Watson. I really enjoyed this book. It's a psychological thriller. It's about a woman called Christine and every night she goes to sleep she wakes up without her memory, and it's about how she has learned to sort of cope and try and help herself along by writing down things, leaving herself notes and post-it notes of things to try and help her remember what's going on the next day. She lives with her husband and she's not 100% sure that everything feels right, and as the story unravels we follow what is happening, and I thought it was really good. There's no major blood and guts, there's no illness storyline apart from obviously the fact that she's not got her memory, and I just thought it was really tense and it built tension and I really enjoyed it, so I hope maybe this might be one that you might enjoy too. So the next one I want to recommend to you again is a psychological thriller, and this is Night Film by Marisha Pessl. I really loved this. It's a really big book, so it gives you a lot of chance to sort of get stuck into the story, and it's about a young journalist who becomes obsessed with the death of a reclusive film director's daughter, and it's just about him unravelling the secrets behind the family, behind this death, and it's really tension building, and I really enjoyed it, and I just think it again, it's not got loads of blood and guts, it's not got loads of abuse and things like that, but it's really cleverly done, and it really builds that sort of tension, and the psychological aspect of it I think is brilliant. The next one I want to recommend to you is, I'm not sure if it's a YA or whether it is an adult story, but it certainly has a YA protagonist, but it's sort of a dual protagonist. I'll explain. It's called Reconstructing Amelia by Kimberly McCreight. This follows through text messages and social media and different points of view the story of a woman. She is a single mother. She has a 15-year-old daughter who is at a really posh private school, and she's a litigation lawyer, and she gets a phone call one day to say that her daughter has committed suicide, and it's about the mother trying to piece together the last moments of her daughter's life and trying to discover what's actually happened. And it was really good. It was really twisty and turny, and I just really enjoyed this one. I liked the way it was done, where you had the different social media aspects and the different types of format of writing in there as well. I find that really pulls me into the story and helps me to sort of believe it, because we are all on our mobile phones and texting and emailing all the time nowadays, so it is a common way of communicating with people. So if you were trying to discover what had happened and you were trying to look into someone's life, that would be somewhere that you would definitely go to look. So I really enjoyed this. I definitely recommend it as one if you like the sort of psychological thriller. Next one is a little bit of a change, but it is also a sort of psychological thriller, I suppose. It is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I really enjoyed this, and I was quite surprised because I didn't think it would be my type of thing. But it's about a woman. She is orphaned. She's working as a lady's maid, and she's in Monte Carlo, and she gets whisked away by a handsome man who she ends up marrying. He's quite her senior. He's a widower, and she goes and moves with him into his house. When she gets to his country estate, she realises there's this sort of shadow hanging over everything of the ex-wife, and she starts to learn a bit more about this ex-wife, and there starts to be sort of things that unravel which sort of threaten her relationship with her husband. I really enjoyed this. I thought it was a really clever story, and I definitely recommend it. It's not got any sort of major blood and guts or abuse, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. The next one I want to recommend is We Were Liars by Lockhart. Now, it's a YA book. I can't tell you a lot about it because, as everyone always says, it spoils the surprise. I didn't enjoy this one as much as a lot of people, but I wanted to recommend it anyway because it was a good story and everyone else seems to really love it. And so I think it's important to recommend it to you to see you could give it a go. It might be something that you enjoy. It's about a young girl. She goes with her family every year in the summer to their sort of private island where the whole family gather together. And it's about the relationships between the siblings and the cousins and the nieces and nephews and the grandparents. And it's about a young girl. She hasn't been at the start of this story for a number of years, or at least a year. And she's going back to the island, and we're discovering and piecing together what happened the last time she was there and what's happened to her. And it's a really interesting and twisty-turny book, so I think it may be one that you enjoy and definitely one to try out and see. Next, I want to recommend The Little Stranger by Sarah Waters. Now, I know you said you don't really like historical fiction, but I wouldn't. This is set in the past, but it's not concerning itself necessarily with historical occurrences. It's about a young man. He is the son of a maid, and he's turned his life around. He's built himself up, and he's now a country doctor. It's after the war in Warwickshire, and it's set at a family mansion, I suppose, family pile, and he is the country doctor for this area, and it's about his interactions with the people that live in this house, and it's creepy and there's some interesting things that go on, and I really enjoyed it, and I definitely recommend it if you like that type of creepy story. So you said you like ghost stories, so my last recommendation for you is The Woman in Black by Susan Hill. Now, I've not actually read this story, but I have seen the play of this about 8 or 9 times. I'm obsessed with it. It's the scariest thing for me. I'm not good with ghost stories personally, like really scary ones, and the play is very atmospheric. Now, I have heard that the book is even better. It's about a young solicitor. He's going from London to the English moors to attend the funeral and to settle the affairs of a Mrs. Alice Drablow of Eelmarsh House, and there's lots of creepy things that happen while he's there, and it's very, very scary, the play for sure, and I've heard similar things about the book. So anyway, I've tried to recommend to you here some books that I think are either ghost stories, a bit scary, but don't contain the things that you don't like. So hopefully some of these might pique your interest. Definitely let me know, Tina, if you enjoy any of these, if you decide to pick any up. And as always, let's chat in the comments. If anybody else has some good recommendations for Tina, make sure you put them in the comments as well. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye for now, BookTube.